elections are in now for the federal election in Canada 2019, and the Liberals have a thin minority. Now, there's going to be jubilation among a lot of my social media friends because people were genuinely worried about the possibility of another hard right party coming to power in Canada federally as we had under Stephen Harper. Nevertheless, despite the fact that this leaves a certain amount of breathing room for people on sort of the center-left, Liberal Party members or people who are more progressive in the NDP and other smaller socialist parties, I would like to underline that what happened during this election and what is happening in Canadian politics really raises some serious questions about where the country is going ideologically. Now, Andrew Scheer ran a rather confused campaign, but when one scratches the surface of it, one sees that there's a tendency now on the part of the right to try to sort of ease its way into power by speaking very disingenuously about its policies or not speaking about them at all. This happened with Doug Ford in Ontario. Ford is taking a bit of a respite, and progressive people I know are not paying much attention to him. But I would watch out for what is happening in Ontario. I think that the hard right conservatives of the Ontario Conservative Party are just biding their time and waiting to make a comeback. Most of the premiers in Canada are conservative, and conservatism has a strong appeal. Furthermore, one other point that I'd like to underline is that there is a growth of right-wing populism. As I mentioned in another video just the other day about the rise of the Nazis and Hitler and so forth, early Nazism used left-wing populism, socialist ideas, socialist terminology, in order to gain quite a few votes. Now, obviously, I'm not going to compare the rise of German fascism with what is happening in Canada, but the possibility of an authoritarian right-wing government is a real possibility, and we've seen glimpses of that. We saw that under Harper. We saw that during the early months of the Ford administration in the province of Ontario. And that is something I would watch out for. Not only is the right gaining momentum, but it is using the language of the working class, the struggling middle class, in order to gain votes. It's been doing this, of course, since time immemorial, but it's doing it in a very crafty way, and it's doing it partly because the left has some soul searching to do. The NDP made it very clear during this campaign that it had bought into the discourse of partial woke politics, and that means that it left aside the discourse of social class and bigger economic issues, and also issues like nationalizing particular industries. There's going to be a bit of a discussion, I hope, and I hope that discussion includes some honest self-reflection and some analysis on the part of the Canadian left in terms of what will happen next and what sorts of strategies to take on.